Do you want?
Can I take your details?
Am I obliged to?
Yeah, obviously with the current climate, and you're acting a bit strangely filming a police station.
No, I just told you what I'm doing. Photography's not a crime. I'm sat here, I'm waiting to get some pictures of a police car going in and out of the police station to finish off a story that I've been working on.
Yeah,
So I'm not obliged to give you my details because I haven't broken any laws.
do you mind not getting that in my face?
Well, it's not in your face and you came up to me, so...
Yeah, because you're filming a police station.
Well, that's not against the law though, is it?
No, but it's suspicious, strange behaviour.
It is quite suspicious.
No, I don't think it is. And terrorism or current climate has nothing to do with it. Terrorism in Waterlooville, I don't think so.
It can happen anywhere, and it would cause us concern that you're sat here constantly filming a police station.
Well, why are you saying constantly?
Because
I've been sat here for 20 minutes waiting for a car to come around the corner to go into the police station, which is what I wanted to capture.
Which we did.
Yeah.
So once that happened, I'd expected you to stop.
Yeah, you continued to film.
Because you got what you wanted.
Yeah.
And left. If that was
because you got out of the car and then you started walking over here.
Right from the start, they don't ask questions, they issue demands. There's no attempt to understand the situation or explain what the concern is. Instead, they jump straight to asking for personal details, as if simply holding a camera is enough to raise suspicion. Calling someone's behavior strange doesn't make it illegal. It's just a personal opinion, not a legal reason to act. They also try to justify their approach by pointing to the current global situation, but that doesn't hold up. General concerns about world events don't automatically give them the right to question someone without clear, specific grounds. Each situation needs its own valid reason, not vague references. If recording a public building were truly linked to serious wrongdoing, then it would be banned everywhere without exception. But that's not the case. Filming in public is generally allowed, and without clear evidence of a crime, there's no solid basis for treating it otherwise.
Now you just turned yours on.
Mine's on already.
Alright, well that's fine. Well that's fine. You're recording me and I'm recording you. But I'm not obliged to give you my details because I haven't broken any laws. Okay? And being suspicious is not a crime either.
You can appreciate though, given the current climate and terrorism being an issue, you are sat here.
There's no terrorism in Waterlooville. Yeah. Oh, and understand why you come over to speak to me, but coming over and like, oh, we'll get your details, blah blah blah, I'm not obliged to do that.
Obviously, I'm engaging in a conversation with you.
Yeah. And I told you what I was.
I'm PC Morris.
I told you what I was doing.
Waterlooville Police Station. All I asked was for your details. And you could introduce yourself.
I explained to you what I was doing.
And I understand that. All I asked was for your details, for your name.
Yeah, no, you don't need my name.
No?
No, because
okay,
you stick it in your computer and it stays there forever.
It's not that it was honestly from me to engage in a conversation with you. I appreciate it. Obviously,
I've just spoken to my sergeant as well.
Yeah.
Under the Terrorism Act, with the current climate is severe and the way you're acting, I will need your details.
No.
Calling it a friendly introduction doesn't match what we actually see. The notebook is already open, the pen is in hand, and they go straight into asking for personal details without even a proper greeting. That's not how a normal conversation begins. It feels more like they're starting a record than having a simple chat. The explanation sounds like it was added later to make the situation appear more relaxed than it really was. Then the situation takes another turn. Instead of clearly explaining the reason for the interaction, one officer steps away to speak with a sergeant. When they return, they bring up the idea of using terrorism-related powers. That's a big jump, especially without clear facts to support it. This kind of escalation says a lot. When officers can't clearly explain why they're engaging with someone, they sometimes lean on stronger powers to fill that gap. And if a senior officer is willing to support that move, it suggests the issue may go beyond just one decision in the moment.
So please provide me
I'm not obliged to give you my details because I haven't broken the law.
Recording equipment if you are filming the police station under the current climate severe. Okay.
That's not. It's not. That's
anyone watching your videos.
You can't seize my equipment.
Anyone watching your videos that you are currently, say, you're live streaming.
Yeah.
Will probably agree that under terrorism at the moment, with the risk as it is,
Now this is live streaming because if you take my phone, it's not on my phone.
I'm explaining to you. Yeah, I'm explaining to you the reasons why I'm speaking to you, and all I am requesting for is your details. I'm not going to.
I'm not obliged to get. I've not broken no laws.
If you don't give us your details, it gives us grounds to arrest.
No, it's not. No, it's not. That's unlawful arrest. No, that is unlawful arrest.
Failure to give a name
I've not
and
broken
address.
no laws, so that'd be an unlawful arrest.
Under the Terrorism Act, I'm requiring your name and address because of your behaviour.
The Terrorism Act.
At this point, the reasoning starts to fall apart. Instead of first showing a clear legal reason for their actions, they suggest that refusing to give personal details somehow becomes the problem itself. That's not how the law works. Choosing not to provide information doesn't suddenly create a valid reason for action. Those reasons have to already exist on their own. They also imply that recording equipment can be taken just because someone won't share their name. That shows a clear misunderstanding. Taking someone's property requires proper legal authority and a genuine need, not frustration or convenience. It has to be justified, not assumed. And when the notebook comes out again, it becomes even clearer what's really going on. The focus doesn't seem to be on any specific or proven wrongdoing. Instead, it feels like the main goal is simply to collect details and fill out a report, whether there's a solid reason for it or not.
I've actually got written permission to sit here and do this.
Right, well, why didn't you tell us that? Can you show us that, please?
Where's your written permission? It's
That's not a public place.
Police station. A police station's not a public place.
Well, it's still paid for by the public, isn't it?
It's not a public place though. Under the
Well,
definition of
where I
public
am
place.
is a public
Yeah,
place,
you're right there.
and I'm allowed to film anything I can see from a public place.
Within reason, but if your actions go beyond that and are suspicious...
Well, my actions aren't gone beyond that. I've told you exactly what I'm doing. It's to finish off the end of my social experiment blog that I was making.
Well, you're still filming now, so it's...
I'm filming now for my own protection.
Protection from what?
From you. You're standing there threatening to arrest me under terrorism.
No, I'm asking for your name and details.
Which I'm not obliged to give you unless I've been arrested for a crime.
I don't feel like we've given you any cause for concern about our behaviour.
Well, he's threatening to arrest me under the Terrorism Act, which you couldn't even quote to me.
He's not threatening
I'm not going to quote every part of the law.
You're telling me,
I don't know
by me not giving you my details,
that's not my job.
you told me me not giving you my details is an arrestable offence, which it isn't.
It speaks volumes that Pinocchi is the one bringing out written law, while the officers rely on memory and assumptions. When he shows them the exact wording, that should be the moment everything resets. Clear facts on paper leave little room for confusion. But instead of taking that opportunity, one officer shifts the argument by claiming the station isn't a public place. That point misses the mark. Whether a building is funded by taxpayers isn't the main issue here. What really matters is where Pinocchi is standing, and he's on ground that the public can access. That difference is important. If he's lawfully in a place open to everyone, then trying to blur that boundary doesn't stand up. Then comes the comment that quoting the law isn't his responsibility. That statement reveals a lot about the situation. If officers are using legal powers, knowing and clearly explaining those laws is absolutely part of their role. Without that, the whole interaction loses its foundation and direction.
Not permission for you to sit here
Which
and
it
film
isn't.
a police station, which is what you've just
I am perfectly entitled to sit here and film a police station from a public space. In fact, I can even give you the law on photography. There you go.
It says that you do not need a permit to film or
No,
photograph
I don't.
in a public place. It doesn't say anything about filming or taking photographs from a place that isn't public. Photography on private land is not restricted if the landowner has given permission.
I'm on public land.
Yeah, but what
But I
about
can still
the fact that you're
I
filming
can-
a police station which is not
That's not a house though, is it?
No, but it's not a public place.
Yeah, but if someone wants to stand outside my house in the public and film it, they're allowed to do that by law. There is no law that's... No, there's no law. No, there's not.
Right.
No, there's not.
Ask if there's permission from one of the bosses in
I
there.
don't need permission to film the police station from a public
No,
space.
as I said, my suspicions are about your behaviour. It's all very strange.
What's suspicious about my behaviour? Do you think I'm a terrorist?
You're not talking to
Have
me
I got
normally.
Have I got any bombs in my
You're
bag?
quite defensive about the fact that
Yes, because you've come over here to stop me. You're trying to stop me from filming.
Her response completely misses the real issue. Just because there isn't a rule that clearly says you can film doesn't mean filming is banned. That's not how the law works. In public spaces, people are generally free to record what they can see, unless there's a clear and specific rule that says otherwise. Someone simply being uncomfortable with a camera doesn't turn a normal action into a problem. When that argument doesn't hold, the focus shifts to his behavior instead. It's treated as if standing your ground or asking for clear answers suddenly makes the situation suspicious. But that's not the case. Staying calm and firm doesn't break any rules, and asking reasonable questions isn't interfering with anything. Describing his composed attitude as defensive is just another way to justify the situation. It turns normal, lawful behavior into something it's not. In reality, being clear, steady, and informed is well within his rights, no matter how it's portrayed.
And finishing my blog.
You wouldn't even provide me a name.
Well, that's because I don't need to.
All this amounts.
Because I'm not obliged to give you my name, that's
You're not
why.
obliged.
Well,
However,
exactly.
when I approached you to engage in a conversation, and you were quite defensive.
I actually didn't want a conversation. If you had just gone into the police station, I would have left because I got the footage that I wanted.
Yeah, but you can understand that obviously, given the fact that you're sat here filming a police station, it's quite concerning for us.
Why?
For officer safety.
What am I going to do?
You're
What
about to
officer safety?
publish a video showing the registration plate of police cars in a police station.
They're in public all day, every single day. Police cars. There's no privacy in public. That's why there's CCTV cameras, millions of them all around the country. So I don't think your colleague really should stand there and threaten to take away my camera equipment.
He didn't threaten to take
Yes, he
away
did.
camera equipment.
Yes, he did. It's on
He
camera.
stated.
Is this a threat?
When one officer admits he's acting within his rights, that should really be the end of the discussion. But instead of wrapping things up, the reasoning shifts again, this time to officer safety, with the claim that filming vehicle plates could be a risk. That argument doesn't hold up when you look at it closely. Police vehicles are used on public roads every day. Their number plates are visible to anyone driving behind them, standing nearby, or simply walking past. These plates are meant to be seen. They're not hidden or protected information. They exist so vehicles can be identified in plain view. Trying to suddenly treat something that's always on display as sensitive just because it's recorded on a camera doesn't make sense. It doesn't change the nature of the information. It simply adds another weak justification after the original concern has already been addressed.
Hours that we have.
You're trying to scare me into, I don't want my phone to be taken. So in order for me to give up my details that I'm not obliged to give
If
you.
you believe that we wouldn't be able to seize your phone, why would you be recording live to a cloud so that when your phone is taken?
Oh, when my phone's taken?
Well, that's what you said.
Is that what you're saying?
No,
When my phone's? That's why I'm recording to the cloud and not onto my phone.
You said that you record so that if somebody takes your phone,
Yep.
that the videos aren't there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I've still got my evidence because I can't get your evidence off of your camera. If this goes to court for me to get all my camera equipment back,
Why would you assume this is going to go to court?
because if you're going to take my camera equipment, then it's going to go to court, isn't it?
Why would you assume we were going to take?
Because you would have unlawfully arrested me and unlawfully taken my camera equipment. You're trying to scare me into giving you my details that I'm not obliged to give you. I'm not obliged to give you my details. Well, I don't need to account. I'm sat here doing something perfectly lawful from a public space.
Calling it a stop and account after everything has already happened doesn't fix the situation. That approach is meant for short, voluntary interactions where someone can choose whether or not to share information. It's not a tool to demand personal details, and it doesn't come with any power to force compliance. If there was no clear reason for him to explain himself in the first place, simply giving it that label doesn't create one that the reaction to the mention of court is just as revealing. When it's pointed out that actions like arrest, or taking someone's property must stand up in front of a judge, that shouldn't come as a surprise. That's the basic standard for using those kinds of powers, not an unusual idea. The fact that this catches her off guard suggests those consequences weren't fully considered. Once you move toward detaining someone or taking their belongings, you're entering serious territory. At that point, every decision needs to be solid, justified, and able to hold up under proper review. Not just in a moment, but well beyond it.
The Terrorism Act
He merely
and
stated
threat
that
and
as
trying
police
to
officers,
intimidate
somebody
me
not giving their details is a necessity that we can use for an arrest.
by making me think he's going to
He
take away my camera
He
equipment.
didn't say that it was a threat that he was going to arrest you at all.
Okay. Am I being detained?
Sorry?
Am I being detained?
No, it's merely a stop and
Okay.
go. I mean, if you do leave, obviously we do have powers.
Are you going to use those powers if I leave then? Because
It would
you
mean-
just said I'm not being detained, so I'm free to go.
You're not being detained.
So am I
no.
free to go?
And by all means, if you do leave, it does mean that we would be able to use powers to arrest you on the grounds of suspicion of an offence.
What offence?
My colleague is speaking to my sergeant at the moment.
So, am I free to go?
That's obviously your decision.
And I'm not being detained?
That's obviously your decision.
And I'm free to leave? Am I free to leave? What's that mean?
As I've just explained to you, it was a stop and account.
Have I broken any laws?
At the moment, you are filming a police station.
That's not breaking the-
which
that's
was
not
quite
breaking the law.
concerning, Which is why me and my colleague came over to speak to you.
That's not breaking the law though, is it?
As I explained to you, my colleague has basically gone to speak to my sergeant
Yeah.
to discuss.
Right. Are you
level.
are you detaining me here?
I'm not detaining you.
Right, so am I free to leave?
I would suggest you didn't leave.
Am I free to leave?
I would suggest you didn't leave.
Why?
I would suggest that you didn't leave.
Why?
I have answered your question. What you do next is up to you.
Well, I know what next is up to me, but you just said I'm not being detained, so therefore I'm free to leave because I've broken no laws.
The next move is yours. I've
Oh.
asked you to wait.
Okay, I don't want to wait. I'm going to leave and I'm going to go home. Okay?
The clearest moment in this entire exchange comes when Pinocchio asks a simple and direct question. Am I being detained? The answer is no. That response is important because if someone is not detained, they are free to leave. It's a basic and clear point that sets the situation in context. But the moment he chooses to walk away, the tone changes. Suddenly, there are claims like, I have the power to stop you, along with suggestions of arrest based on vague suspicion. That shift doesn't align with the earlier answer. Legal powers don't appear or disappear just because someone decides to leave. They must always be backed by a clear and valid reason. There's also a broader concern about how serious terms were used throughout the encounter. Arrest was mentioned without a clearly defined reason. Taking equipment was discussed without a clear legal basis. At one point, even terrorism-related laws were brought up as a possible justification. When such serious powers are mentioned so casually, it weakens their meaning and raises questions about how they're being applied. These are not everyday phrases. They require strict conditions before they can be used. In the end, what stands out isn't a confrontation, but the lack of a solid foundation. Pinocchio walks away because there was no clear detention, no confirmed offense, and no strong legal reason to keep him there. The presence of uniforms and the mention of authority were there, but the actual substance behind those claims never materialized. And when someone can simply leave despite all the talk of arrest and seizure, it shows how weak the overall position really was.